Swamiji will be revealing further more details on it. But in this particular segment, where when we are hearing how the sun and moon and the earth has an effect on all of us, similarly, the science of temples. In Hinduism, all we wanted to know about temple, deities, agamic traditions. I can say before we all come to Swamiji, we didn't even know about it. Being into the Brahmin family, I was not even aware of it. I never heard the word itself, agamas. That means we all are very far away from our own culture, our own tradition. So today we are presenting the very science behind the temples. How the whole civilization, the enlightened civilization, was nothing but lifestyle around the temple. And it is not simple constructing a building. It's a science. And we all should know how it works on all of us, how it creates that ecosystem for us to provide that environment of getting enlightenment, and how Swamiji is the only one who is authentically, right from the Agamas, reviving this science to create an enlightened civilization. To begin with, first we need to understand the history itself. We need to know from where it has come. So I would like to invite today in this panel Jnanatmananda Swami, a Pune Sannyasi of Nithyananda order, to share how the whole temple science used to be there and how it was spreaded around the world, the entire science behind it. So, Jnanatmananda Swami, I would request you to come and share the details with us.
Nithyananda. Today, being one of my favorite topics about the temples, the significance, the history, the science of the temples in the Vedagamic tradition. And I feel so honored and blessed to be given this opportunity to present about the science of temples. Temples. Why do we need temples? What were our ancestors thinking? And were they more intelligent and were they in tune with the subtle energies than the modern tradition, the modern culture? Are temples even relevant in today's world? What are the science behind temples? Now, every village in India has a temple, making one wonder on how these huge structures were created. Even if the homes were made out of mud and small huts, those villages, those towns had huge granite structures. Many temples in India, they still, till today, the science, the architectural field does not have an answer on how these temples were even built without any machinery. For example, the temple, the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjore, has one tomb of granite, 150 feet above the ground. Now the tower itself is about 177 feet. And that stone, one single piece of granite is on top of the temple tower, 170 feet above the ground. How, without any machinery, that one single stone dome got moved on top of the temple tower? Till date, there is no answer. Till date, there are many hypotheses. Maybe this is the way, maybe this is the way, but nobody knows for sure how the great king, one of the greatest kings of India, Rajaraja Cholan, built that temple in a way that the gopuram of the temple, the shadow never falls on the ground. And the one single piece of stone was moved 170 feet and kept on top of the temple tower. There is no answer to that. Like this is just one example of hundreds of thousands of temples in India. Our civilization, our culture, our people put everything they had to build these huge granite structures called temples. Why were they constructed? What was the benefit in constructing such huge granite temples built over hundreds of years? Many temples were even built for thousands of years. Like it actually took 1,000 years to complete the construction of the current temple in Thiruvannamalai. So these temples were built over centuries. The king starts, then his son continues, then his grandson continues, then his great-grandson continues and finishes or does the Kumbhabhishekam to the temple. But our ancient masters, rishis, the enlightened beings, the avatars, continued to construct these huge granite structures. For what? What is the significance of these temples? Now, please understand, a scientist is a person who creates a formula to recreate the same experience that he has in the outer world. The one who's able to reproduce the experience which happens in the inner world is a mystic, is an enlightened being, is an avatar. Now these temples, rituals, pujas, homas are formulas created by our rishis, by our avatars to reproduce the experience, the inner world experience to other beings. Our rishis, the ancient mystics, they prove that the whole universe is constituted of thoughts and energy vibrations. It is alive and bubbling. The whole universe is alive and bubbling with our thoughts and emotions. Now, our ancient rishis have created so many methods, techniques to hold and radiate that cosmic energy so that humanity can be helped by this positive energy. Now, the whole universe and the universal energy is symbolically constituted of 5 elements. The 5 elements of nature, which is ether, space, air, water, fire, and earth. Now, they have tried to install the energy in the earth element in the temples in the form of murtis or deities. The energy in the water element through the tirthas. Every temple has a temple tank. The energy in the fire element in the form of at least one lamp, which is never put off in the temples and in the households. Fourthly, in the air, which is filled with the vibration of the mantras, the divine vibrations of the mantras, so that the very air vibrates with energy. And finally, in the ether or space. Now, the temple architecture are created in a dome structure to hold the energy like a battery. If a bolt of lightning could be stored in a battery, the scientists have proved that if bolt of lightning, if the energy of one lightning can be stored in a battery, we could supply the energy for more than 1 year to any big city. Now these temples, the temples of the Vedagamic tradition, are created to hold enormous amount of energy so that when the avatars come, they would install their energy in these structures. Now, all temples in India are created and installed by the great avatars whenever they happen. When Rama happened on the planet Earth, he installed his energy, and that temple is what is called as Rameshwaram. The Shiva that he himself worshipped and energized is called Rameshwaram. Like that, the Thiruvannamalai temple was the main deity of the temple, was energized by an incarnation of Lord Shiva, Arunagiri Yogeshwara, who's the guru of our beloved Swamiji. He himself installed the energy in the Arunachaleshwara, the deity in the Thiruvannamalai temple. The Brihadishwara temple, the temple in Tanjore, the energy in that temple was installed by a great saint, great avatar called Kunganavar. Parani temple, the energy was installed by a great saint called Bogar. Tirupati, Lord Srinivasa, Lord Venkateshwara himself took the incarnation of Srinivasa, and when his mission on the planet Earth was accomplished, he himself became a deity. That is why if you see the deity of Lord Venkateshwara in the Tirumala Tirupati temple, that deity will not have any markings of carving. The Madurai Meenakshi temple the energy was installed by Devi Meenakshi and Lord Sundareshwara themselves. Now, our masters have designed beautiful batteries in the form of temples that can hold this energy and radiate it to millions of people for thousands of years. It is because of the concentrated energy in the central dome structure or the Garbha Mandir that our prayers become reality. I would like to play a short clip of a beautiful research done by one of the Hindu activists who shares how the Tiruvannamalai temple is nothing but it's literally the way it is built is like a Tesla. It's an energy radiator, the spiritual energy radiator to the whole world. Let us now watch that video. Yes. Hope all of you enjoyed the short clip. And there are tons of researches that are done on the effect, the positive energy vibrations radiated by the Vedagamic temples. Now, we all should also understand the science behind how a prayer becomes a reality in the temple. Now, many of us may have seen a projector, right? Any slide that is kept in front of the projector gets projected into this screen. Now, similarly, the Garbha Mandirs of the temples, they hold high intense potential energy created and installed by the great avatars. And that energy is maintained by the regular pujas and mantras as mentioned in the Kriya Pada of the Agamas. Now, the continuous repetition of the mantras charges the whole space and keeps it alive. Now, when you stand in front of this energized murti or space and create a thought or a wish, let this happen. Your whole body and mind will be tuned to that thought, and so naturally it will become a reality in your life. In the temples, in the energized space, two things will happen. You will have the Shakti or the energy to make your dreams into reality, and you will also have the Buddhi, the intelligence, to realize that whatever you see or think as reality itself is another dream. The great avatars designed these temples because they wanted some space which could continuously heal, inspire, and give humanity an experience of the space, state, and powers of Paramashiva. Now, the energizing process in these temples itself is one of the most fascinating aspects of the spiritual science. According to Taittiriya Upanishad, from Akasha, space, came air or Vayu. From Vayu, air, came Agni or fire. From Agni came water. From water came the earth, and finally everything else. So in the same manner, the energy is harnessed. Through visualization or meditation, the energy is brought into the Akasha or the ether or space. Now, from ether, through verbalization or mantras, the energy is brought into the air. Through the fire rituals, the energy is brought into the fire through homas. And then from the fire, the water is transferred into the kumbha, the kalasha. And this what this kalasha, this kumbha, is finally installed on the bimba or the deity or the murti or the vigraha inside the Garbha Mandir, thereby installing the cosmic energy, breathing life into the deities. This process is called as prana pratishtha. Once the prana pratishtha is done, it is no longer an idol, it becomes a deity, it becomes an archavatara. When the prana pratishtha or energy is installed in the idol, it is no longer an idol, it becomes a deity, archavatara, with different incarnations of God. Shiva, Devi, Ganesha, Subramanya, all these different deities. The Upanishads so beautifully explain how the Brahmanda expresses itself in the form of Pindanda, in the macrocosm, expresses itself in the microcosm through these deities. The cosmic energy radiates itself, making itself available to us through these deities or vigrahas. And one can derive enormous benefits. Now we need to know that this temple-based lifestyle, this temple-based civilization, not just existed in India. It existed in all the 56 Hindu nations, spanning from Nepal to India to Sri Lanka to Cambodia to Thailand to to Afghanistan to Pakistan. All these places where the Hindu civilization, the Vedagamic civilization, the Hindu nations happened. All these were temple-based lifestyles, temple-based culture. Temples were a major role in maintaining and keeping the social structure alive. So whether it is culturals like dance, music, or whether it is education, the school, everything revolved around the temple. People used to go to temple for entertainment, for cultural shows, for dance, drama, music. People used to go to temple to even gossip. People used to go to the temple to network with other friends. Temple used to be a place for matchmaking. Temple used to be a place where networking, where you meet with friends, where you talk. Temple used to be a place where marriages happen. Temple was the central place where everything in the community happened in that place. Now today, unfortunately, because of the infusion of the Western tradition into our culture, these networking places have become places like clubs or pubs or coffee shops or movie theaters. For us, everything was a temple. Now, because of the invasion of the foreign culture, the Western tradition culture into our lifestyle, we have lost how temples were, how important temples were in our Vedagamic tradition, Vedagamic civilization. And these temples were broken and destroyed repeatedly, but still they continued to come up and stand in a much more beautiful way every time. The Vishwanath temple in Varanasi itself was destroyed more than 14 times, and the Somnath temple in Gujarat was destroyed more than 17 times. So all these temples were destroyed at least 10 times, but they ended up standing up again and again and again. Now the spiritual vibrations created in these temples were sent all over the world to help the human beings. It is we who are supposed to understand the science and take science behind the temple and take responsibility to tune ourselves and relate ourselves with the higher energy. One of the important components of Swamiji's mission today is to revive the enlightened civilization, to revive the temples back, and to establish these kailas, establish these enlightened civilizations, enlightened ecosystems around the world, with the temple being the kingpin of every enlightened ecosystem, Kailasa. And today, I would like to invite Sri Nithya Shambhavananda, who's here today to share Swamiji's vision of the Golden Temple, the Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Golden Temple in Bengaluru, Aadheenam, in Bangalore. And just to give a little introduction about Rishi Nithya Shambhavananda, he has been with Swamiji since 2001. So he is one of the earliest disciples of Swamiji, and he has been with Swamiji for 18 years. And his whole family, his wife and his son, who's also a Gurukul Balasant, all of them live with us in the Aadheenam. And he comes from a community, the Chettiar community, which used to take pride in building temples. They have built a lot of Shiva temples, Muruga temples, so many Hindu temples in India, in Malaysia, in so many places around the world. They take pride in building and reviving the temple-based culture. So it's my immense pleasure to invite Rishi Nithya Shambhavananda today to share Swamiji's vision of the Golden Temple. Nithyananda Maya.
Nithyanandam, Mahanyanatma Swami. It gives me immense pleasure. Really, I feel so gifted and blessed to be here in front of all of you today to share one of the most amazing happenings of, the construction of the Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya at Adi Kailash in Bidadi, in Bangalore, Bidadi. Also, like Mahanyanatma Swami said, I've been extremely fortunate to be around Swamiji for the past 18 years. And I feel truly, truly blessed. I feel very gifted and fortunate to actually be given this opportunity to build this amazing temple. I have no words to describe how happy I am to do this and how fortunate and blessed I feel. So now it gives me, one thing I'd like to really share with everyone here is this is one of the most passionate things that Swamiji has ever wanted to do. Literally, if, all those who have been around Swamiji, will know that he's nothing but, a walking temple. Everything about him is about temples, about deities. He is a walking deity himself. So, everything around him revolves around, the construction of the temple, making of deities, and, just bringing out the amazing, things, bringing out the amazing things that Hinduism has to offer through these temples. So I want to very, very, I'd like to just walk you all. We have put together a few slides which will help you guys to understand, what is expected and what is coming up in this wonderful temple. So let me just walk you all through these few slides. So it'll give you a pictorial view of what is coming up and what has already happened. There's so much that has already happened. So now let us just go on to the presentation. If we can just move on to the next slide, Ma. So basically, as Swamiji had already told all of you, that the temple will comprise of 7 praharas, which will spread nearly as huge. I mean, it's also going to be one of the largest temples ever built, Shiva temples that has ever been built, which might spread around 220 acres. So, so this is a view of the 7 praharas of the temple. Can we just move on to the next slide? Yeah, so we have a Google map image of the 7 praharas, to what extent the temple is actually going to spread over. Is it possible to zoom that slide a little bit more? So you can actually see the 7 praharas there, and we've also procured a fair amount. I mean, of course, the actual requirement of the temple is about 200 acres of land, and we have procured close to about 60 acres is what we have procured right now. And there's a lot more, like how Swamiji said, there's, the temples happen over several, maybe even hundreds of years. So we have done very, very well in that aspect. We've procured a fair amount of land. And way back in 2003, it all just started with 1 acre. So we moved on from just having 1 acre of land to slowly procuring and acquiring land in the surrounding areas. So Swamiji has had this vision for a good, well over 18, 20 years. God only knows, maybe it may be a long a lot ahead of that also. But from in reality, in 18 years, we procured about little over 60 acres. So now I'm also going to present to you a few of the plans, which can we go on to the plans, please? Yeah. So, like Swamiji had, shared with all of you about the first 3 praharas of the temple. So this is the plan of the first 3 praharas. So what the first 3 praharas will basically consist of is basically the presiding deity is Paramashiva, right, of the temple. And that is why it is called Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya. So here in Adi Kailash, the banyan tree itself is Paramashiva. So the banyan tree is Paramashiva himself, is a representation of Paramashiva, and is the energy source of the entire temple. Actually, if for those who have already visited Birdi and has seen the banyan tree, you will actually find a small cave. The banyan tree has actually grown over, an already existing temple, which was already there under the banyan tree, and that has formed like a cave. And inside of the cave, we found, when Swamiji came to this land, and when we were initially given this land, he found a Swayambhu Linga inside of the temple, of the ancient temple, in that cave. So that is the Swayambhu Linga that has been installed in the mandapa, in the main temple today, what you find in Birdi. And another amazing fact about this tree, it's a huge significance, actually, to say that we've actually gone to the extent of trying to see how old this tree is and how old that temple, which is under the tree, is. And when we actually did try to do the carbon dating or whatever, the process that's involved in finding out the age of the tree, we found that we were only able to go in about 3 to 4 layers of the tree. And at the 4th layer, we found that the age of the tree was around 900 years old. So, we were also told that there was about 13 to 14 layers of the tree. So we couldn't even go as deep in to find out the actual age of the tree. But we know for sure, that it's way beyond 900 years. It could actually even be as old as a couple of thousands of years old. So that's how old and how, that the tree is. And that's how old the temple that was under the tree, that's how old it could be. So this has a lot of spiritual significance in that sense. And so from that is where we're going to have the main Garbha Mandir, the Garbha Graha. And inside of the Garbha Graha, we're going to have Paramashiva, with 25 heads and 50 hands, a beautiful Paramashiva deity along with Devi. And we will also have the Nithyanandeshwara Linga, that is the Swayambhu Linga that was found under the banyan tree. So these will be the main deities that will be worshipped as a representation of the pujas will be offered to these deities, and they will be the representation of Paramashiva in the form of the banyan tree. So this is the presiding deity. This is more about the presiding deity and the main Garbhagraha. And the main Garbhagraha will also consist of an Ardhamandapam, and then the Muhamandapam and the Mahamandapam. So that will be the main. So right now what is being projected to you is the Ardhamandapam, Muhamandapam and Mahamandapam. So that is the slide there. We are also going to have Dakshina Murti on the southern side of the tree. We will have Lingotbhava on the west, and we will have Brahma on the north. So we will have all these deities having their own shrines. And behind the Lingotbhava, there will also be a huge Venkateshwara shrine. So, so this is what the main first prahara will comprise of. And then we can we just move on with the slides? Yeah. So these are a few elevations of the temple that is to come up. Yes. And we will also have an exclusive a shrine for Devi on the northern side of the main Garbha Mandir, on the northern side of the tree. And we will also have a shrine for Swamiji and on the southern side of the tree. So these are predominantly going to be what is going to be within what you call as the first prahara. And then can we just, yeah. Then now what you have in front of you is the interior view of what happens beyond the Ardha Mandapam, Muha Mandapam, Maha Mandapam. This is called the Shobhana Mandapam or the Mahasadashiva Mandapam. So this Mandapam basically will comprise of the current shrine where you have Nithyanandeshwari, you have Kapila, and you have Swamiji's Murti in the shrine currently. So that is basically the current Mandapam there. And this Mandapam, another amazing feature, and also the construction which has already happened inside of this Mandapam is it has 180 pillars. As you can see the pillars there, you have 180 such pillars that have been already installed and erected. So the construction of that has already happened. And so this Mandapam is actually a huge Mandapam, which is around 18,000 square feet. So this is around 18,000 square feet, and you're going to have the whole 18,000 square feet is going to consist of 18,000 square feet of teak wood, very beautifully crafted, work on the roof, where we'll have various yalis. If we can just move on with the slides a little bit further. As you can see, the roof of this Mandapam, so that roof is going to be completely made out of teak wood. And we have some very, very ornate features that will be on the roof, which is going to simply look so beautiful. It is going to be a real sight to see. We're going to have close to 400 yalis. We will have around 10,000 kumils, as it is called. So this is the sectional elevation of the Mandapam. We can move on now to the next slide. Yes, so basically this is where the whole thing has conceptualized from. This is the Mandapam, which is called the Kalyana Kotari, the Kalyana Mandapam, which you will find at the Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple. So basically Swamiji, he's totally in love with Meenakshi and about the Madurai temple. So he says, just build a temple like Madurai, or a combination of Madurai and a combination of Thiruvannamalai, Arunachaleshwara temple. So we are bringing in, amazing features, a combination of all these temples put together. So basically this Shobhana Mandapam is nearly 4 times the size of the Mandapam that you'll find at Madurai. So Swamiji is just taking everything to the next level, actually, so to speak. Yeah, can we move on to the next slide? So so this is the the elevation of the Kala Bhairava temple shrine, which will be a part of the 3rd Prahara. Yes, next slide. Yeah, so this is the front elevation of the Shobhana Mandapam. So now what we have here is basically the Navagraha Mandapam. So the Navagraha Mandapam is very, very uniquely designed because, well, though it may be just one big shrine, a Navagraha Mandapam shrine, where you'll have all the Navagrahas, the 9 deities. There, each of the deity within the mandapam will have a mandapam of its own. So it is like 9 mandapams within one big mandapam, and each deity will be to the size of nearly 5 feet each. So I don't think you will really find any Navagrahas built to that size in any temple. I cannot think of any temple which has a Navagraha Mandapam to this size. Yes, the next. Yeah, so that's the plan of the 7 praharas. So this is one of the elevations, for the side views, side elevation of the temple. So this is the northern side of the temple, the view of the northern side of the temple. This is the view of the southern side of the temple. This is the plan for Swamijis temple and also of Devi's temple. So they'll be identically built. So this is some of the elevations of the temple. There you see. So you'll see basically we are having nearly on the slide for you where you can see nearly 5 praharas of the temple there. Yeah, so these are all the views of the temple, of the Golden Temple. So it's so amazing as it is, as I see it myself. Every time I see it, it just gives me so much of inspiration and excitement. Just seeing all this wonderful thing that's going on. So surrounding the banyan tree, actually, if you can see surrounding the banyan tree, we have a mandapam, like a corridor, a running corridor mandapam, which is called the Tirumalage Patti Mandapam. So that just goes around the third prahara. Yes. So these are all few views for you. So what you're seeing there now, can you just go back one slide, Ma? Yeah, so what you're seeing there now is actually the northern side of the temple. And so we have the northern side of the temple, and in the northern side of the temple wall, basically you have deities, which is going to be made out of cement. It's called Sodavele. So the wall is around 23 feet in height, and each deity would be around 18 feet in height. So you will have 6 deities on the northern wall, which will be around 18 feet in height. So you'll have Vinayakar, you'll have Subramanya, we have Venkateshwara, Ashtadashabhaja Durga Devi, Paramashiva himself, and Murti of Swamiji on the northern wall, which will be huge deities of the size of 18 feet in height. And in front of each of these deities, we've also planned a mandapam, which will have homagundas in front of each of these deities, where regular homas will be performed to the deities on the northern wall. So that is one exciting feature of the temple. And on the southern side of the temple, we actually are having another mandapam, and a two-floored mandapam, where you will have all the procession deities displayed on the southern side, along with their chaparam, or what you call as the rathas, basically. So it'll be a display of all the procession deities and the rathas that'll be displayed on the southern side of the Shobhana Mandapam. Yeah, can we just move on? So this is broadly basically what the temple, the first three praharas of the temple will comprise of. Of course, there is also one portion where we are going to actually have an Agni Tirtha on the southeast side of the third prahara. So that is another feature and a unique feature of the temple there. So this is what we have planned as on date. But it only gets bigger and better every time. I will, there, and this is basically just the main construction of the temple. So what needs to be understood is there is a lot more happening to actually put all these things together, right from procurement of the stone, procurement of the deities, procurement of raw material. So there's so much that actually goes into it. And see, it's not only the construction of the temple, the basic structure of the temple, but there is what I want to really highlight here is if the temple costed around 100 crores to build, what goes inside of the temple actually in the form of deities, in the form of the alankaras, which the deities are adorned with the jewels and so many other things, the prabhavalis and so many such things would actually cost two to three times more than the actual construction of the temple itself. And we've made huge progress in that front. And in the coming days, I will be going into in-depth details of each aspect of the temple construction, where I'll be sharing with you in more detail about the actual construction of the temple, how much of the temple has already been constructed, which are the deities that have been already made for the temple. And there are so many deities that have been procured and made for so many temples that Swamiji is building across the world in all the different Kailasas. So this is a brief introduction about the upcoming Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya, the Golden Temple. So I will, in the coming days, walk you all through a lot more exciting happenings of the construction of the temple and of all the amazing things that the Nithyananda Sacred Arts University has been doing. So I will leave you all with this for today. And thank you so much for all of you to listen to me and give me this opportunity today to share all this wonderful information. Nithyananda.
Nithyanandam, thank you so much, Aya. It was really, I was like literally awestruck to see the amount of details with which Swamiji has gone. Oh my God. I know we have been hearing whenever Swamiji has shared this and all the 3D views and everything, but today the way you presented and the way you have shown the whole thing, it was really amazing to see that every minute detail Swamiji has taken care. And of course, there is a lot to share. And literally, if we sit the whole day, we'll be sharing the details of what Swamiji has done to build one temple. And if for one temple it is like that, until now Swamiji has built so many temples around the world. Today we are like, we don't have words to say that just in 20 years, Swamiji has built so many temples, monasteries around the world. So that was really amazing.
Actually, I just wanted to also share with you all, whatever I've shared with you today, Swamiji actually calls it as a Balalaya. So the Balalaya is actually not even the main, actually the main temple as such. He says, I'm just, making you do all this just for you guys to learn how to build temples. So whatever I've run you through is just an experimental temple is what you can say. So there's, he very casually says, I'm just, making you do all this so you guys will learn how to build temples. So this is the scale of a temple that he intends to do very playfully. So that's what is even more fascinating. So, why I'm saying this is, you should really be able to imagine the actual temple that may come up over the 200 acres. This is only the first 3 praharas, and he calls it the Balalaya. So yeah, so I'm really excited to, there's tremendous amount of work that's going to be happening. So I'm really, really excited about it.
Yes, of course, because the first prahara itself was so much. So 7 praharas will be an ultimate. I don't know. We don't have words. Of course, we would like to hear from you, Aya, more and more, because since 2001 you have been getting the visions and getting the all details with the amount of hard work Swamiji has been doing towards reviving the temple signs and all of everything about Hinduism. So we are very new and we would like to hear, and the whole world wants to know, whole world wants to hear all this. So it was really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aya. And with this, the understanding of how Swamiji is building the Paramashiva, Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya, we need to understand that it is not stopped here. It is not something which is new. We have heard the history which Ma Jnanatmananda Swami shared with us. Swamiji has made this as our lifestyle. This is the ecosystem which Swamiji says that this is the lifestyle which we all are living. So I'm having in the panel Ma Nitya Tattva Priyananda and Ma Nithyanandita. I would like them to share that how this whole thing as a ecosystem. So Ma Nithyanandita and Ma Tattva Priya.
Nithyanandam, first we want to offer our gratitude to Swamiji and Sangha for giving us this beautiful opportunity, especially the discussion about temple, something that we are really, really passionate about. So thank you so much for giving this beautiful and wonderful opportunity. Things that we want to share about temple. Why are we discussing mainly about temple? Because that is like in this huge persecution that's happening, especially our is targeting all the Hindu things, everything just Hindu, and he's attacking. And temple, it's one of the huge things which is ecosystem in the sense whether it's the dress that they wear or the they have. Each temple, it is unique. And now what exactly Swamiji is doing is also the same. For example, for the, let's say, the deity of Kalabhairava, Swamiji has initiated each phase of oneness, and whatever messages you want to give to the deity, or whatever questions you have, your prayers, and what is the deity responding with deity specific powers. So you will literally have the experience of communicating directly with the deity itself. And not just this, there are with these eyes full open or blink at them, and Kalabhairava's breathing literally in our ashram. If you just take a thread and go and
I think there is
a thread moving and breathing, so you can literally see Kalabhairava's whole breathing. So like this more
so as there is a, sorry for the technical glitch, there is a internet issue, there's an audio issue which we are facing from Ma Nithyananda and Ma Tattva Priya's side. Of course, we would wanted them to share, because that is something which is very ultimate and very very unique to know and understand, that how the temples are our lifestyle and how this is the ecosystem which Swamiji says that build this around the world. When this enlightened ecosystem is being established, it used to be there and it has to establish. So that is why we all have to again establish Kailasa inside and Kailasha outside. So as we are heading towards the Nithyananda Satsang, where Swamiji is going to be coming live and sharing the more and more deeper level truths. So I would request everybody to sit and prepare ourselves by chanting the Mahavakya. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, and get ready to receive the darshan followed by Nithyananda Satsang. Thank you for watching us. Thank you, Nithyananda.